And they're in Vanderbilt with her mother. She's had a heart attack. So Miss Bonnie and Simon, which is one of our very own from back in the day, are going to sing us a couple songs. And then we've got a video to watch I think that everybody will enjoy. So Miss Bonnie and Simon. Can y'all believe Simon's not little Simon? Huh? Give me a hold it and you adjust the microphone to both of us, or is it good?
That should be good, Dave.
Okay. All right. Good morning. Morning. You want to hold those then? I'll hold the phone. All right, we got some canned music this morning. Not like good music like Bubba plays, so. Do y'all mind if we pray first before we sing? Surely you don't mind. Dear God, we just come to you this morning, Lord. We just ask that you would be with this day, Lord. Be with the singers that are in the hospital, Lord. We just ask that you would just touch them in a mighty way. Just be with us. Help us to use our gifts today, Lord, and glorify your name only, Lord. And we thank you for what you've done here, what you've done for us, and what you're going to do, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay. Amen. You hear it? Can you see it? Okay.
What friend we have in Jesus, all our sins and griefs to bear. What privilege to carry everything to God in prayer. Oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, what needless pain we bear. All because we do not carry everything to God in prayer. Have we trials and temptations? Is there trouble anywhere? We should never be discouraged. Take it to the Lord in prayer. When we find a friend so faithful, who will all our sorrows share. Jesus knows our every weakness. Take it to the Lord in prayer.
Our invisible violinist.
Are we weak and heavy laden, cumbered with a load of care? Precious Savior, still our refuge. Take it to the Lord in prayer. To the friendless bound for safety, take it to the Lord in prayer. In His arms arms he'll take and shield thee. Thou wilt find a solace there.
Thank you. We have one more, then we'll sit down for a while. Feel free to clap along or sing along with us. This is our favorite.
Living below in this so sinful world, hardly a comfort can afford. Striving alone to taste temptation's sore. Oh, won't you tell me where could I go but to the Lord? Where could I go? Oh, where could I go? Seeking a refuge for my soul, needing a friend to save me in the end. Now won't you tell me where could I go but to the Lord? Neighbors are kind, I love them everyone. We get along in sweet accord. But when my soul needs manna from above, oh, won't you tell me where could I go but to the Lord? Where could I go? Oh, where could I go? Seeking a refuge for my soul, needing a friend to save me in the end. Oh, won't you tell me where could I go but to the Lord? Where could I go but to the Lord?
Good job, Cameron.
Oh, Simon was like way down here. He was here before. So I hear Uncle Cradle say, which one is that? She was that one. And Daddy said, is that one? Yep, Simon has grown up. This video Christy found, it's important to me. I think it's going to be important to a lot of y'all. It's a video that Brother Burroughs and Miss Burroughs video a long time ago. So we thought, hey, today's homecoming. Somebody said they think it's 30 years in the new building. Anybody know for sure? I don't know. But anyway, we're going to watch this video today. So, hey, the Lord in a reading. So I think everybody
Well, how we met, I lived in the upper part, a part of, what is the park, Horton Park now. And his grandmother lived just across the road from me. So I never heard of McBurg until she brought him over there. She wanted him to meet me. So she brought him over there. And old Don me, I fell for him and up and married the dude. So I'm going to put that in. And then married him, and now I've lived with him. If I live to the 18th of this month, will be 66 years.
66.
So I think I've took good care of him.
She didn't tell you about the radio dial she broke. I was walking Chapel Hill and passed by her house. She lived close to the highway. And he was a watchmaker. And so she was looking out the window, been told she was looking out the window. And her brother, wondered what she looking at. And he come over the window and he looked at me. And she said, he looked good enough to me, go get him. And so she broke that radio dial looking at me. And she come and got me. Well, she didn't tell that part of it.
All right, you mentioned about walking. How far did you walk to see her?
I walked all the way from 6 miles this side of Pulaski to Chapel Hill, Tennessee.
It's a pretty good little walk, wasn't it?
It's a good walk.
Good to him, too. But I was worth every bit of it.
I believe that was the night I slept under the floor because I was going to stay all night with my grandma and them. They didn't live close to them, Merle and them. And so we missed one. They come see my daddy, and I was going to spend the night with my grandparents up there. Got up there, and after the day, they were gone. You see, I missed them. So I couldn't get in the house, and had snow on the ground, and so I walked back to Chapel Hill and gonna get me a room, and I couldn't get no room. They said wasn't filled up. I walked back and passed right where she lived. My went back to Grandpa's house, and I couldn't get in the house, all locked up. That's when I went under the house and stayed there all night. I had a date with her the next morning, but my clothes I slept in wasn't fitting to go back to see her girlfriend. So I just started walking back and happened to get a ride back to Pulaski.
And if it was like it is today, you just wouldn't stayed all night with her.
If I had it done over 1,000 times, I would have. I would have.
All right, tell us a little bit about your Army stint and
Army.
Well, y'all got married. Start from when you
Got married. I went into the service. Was 2 or 3.
Well, we got married first.
Oh, huh?
We got married, we
March.
married the 18th
March
of March
44.
in 44. And you had 2 weeks, wasn't it? 2 weeks later, he went into service. And then you got to come home one time before you
After 13 weeks training,
got
I got,
got to come home, and then they shipped him out and shipped him overseas.
they'd gone 2 years, 2 months, 2 days.
Yeah. So that was a long time. But got anything else to tell him about the Army?
Hmm?
You got anything to tell him about the Army? You loved it, didn't you?
I didn't like it.
tell us about being with the time you talked about General Patton.
Yeah. He was a tough general, but he's a good old man.
And this was World War II.
Yeah. One time we was going into an attack with the Germans, and he said, "Come on, boys, let's go get them." So I was in the infantry, and he walked right beside him. I just reached over and I could just touched him. He always wore an old pistol on the side of his hip. He didn't wear it. Took a gun. He got that old pistol there where he went. And he did. He went with us through that battle. And put him in over the tank battle then, commander of the tanks later on. After he died, then after we come back home, Stuart Patton died. And so his wife had sent that pin I wear sometime on my collar, coat pedal.
Mm-hmm.
His wife sent us who served under him in World War II, and in memory of him, her husband.
Wasn't that nice?
Yeah, that's true.
Were you drafted or did you volunteer?
Well, I knew he was going to get me anyway. I volunteered after he got married with me.
He volunteered before he married. Then he was glad he went after. But I made up for it when he got back. I didn't have it anyway.
I don't like to talk about it.
Okay.
Uh-uh.
All right. Let's go on into when you're back home and
I bet
talking about getting back with Sister Burrows here now. What did y'all do? And about your farming life? Did you farm some?
Went on to help my daddy make a crop that finished that year, didn't it?
Yeah, when you come home, Granddaddy, I always call him Granddaddy, his daddy, he had planned, when Ed got home, he knew he was coming home the 1st of June there, to plant the crop. Well, I planted the crop and he laid it off.
He got me out like he was sick. There wasn't nothing wrong with me. I went and laid it off. I had to do it different. And I went and laid it off with a hillside. It was on a hillside with a hillside turning plow. And she had no mule. She planted a one-row planter. And it was several acres there on that old hillside we planted. Of course, when
Then we gathered it.
we
We gathered all of it.
planted
Put
it
it in the
together,
barn.
and after that, then we got moved out. Yeah.
All right. Tell us about your first home you lived in then.
Oh, man. JT, his brother, he was in service too, and he got a home before Ed did. And they had one child born while he was in service. So we rented a house, and we shared it. They had part of the house, and we had a dining room and a little kitchen in one room. And they had 2 or 3 on the other side of the hallway in it. So we lived there for 1 year. And then after that, we moved over where the hospital is now. It was Otis Robertson. He owned that. We moved over there the next year then and rented that. And of course, during that, Jay was born. Jay was about a year old when we moved there, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Because he was born in March, and then we moved in January over there. And when we rented over there, we couldn't get the house that we rented because the man and the woman that lived in it had divorced, and they wouldn't get the things out of the house, and we had to go in a little old one-room house between the house that we were supposed to get. And when I bought a stove, I bought the best stove I could find, the biggest stove, and we couldn't get that stove up in that little kitchen. You know, this is one room and that little kitchen down like this. We couldn't get it up in there, you know. We had to cook on the fireplace, had a fireplace in that little house there. And we had to cook on the fireplace for, 2 or 3 months, wasn't it, about
Yeah.
before we could get our house, and Jay was little then. And man, we had the hardest time there was. We was milking cows. We milked cows and farmed. And that's where we was farming when I fixed Jay up.
Go on, tell us about Jay now.
That's when he had the rash while we living there. And you thought I come in one day at dinner off the hill and been applying. She said, Ed, we got to go get some.
No, I said, you got to go.
gotta go find some, go to old Robinson, find that colored man who worked with him, said, we gotta get some whiskey. Cause he's trying to break out with measles, and said, they go and come. They go and come. I've always heard they to go in to kill him. So I walked all the way to Pulaski and got and got a pint of whiskey.
Half a pint.
Well, half a pint, whatever. And she gave it to him, some of it, and it made him drunk. Made him drunk. Well, we had to carry him to the doctor, and what happened was what happened was that she's making it worse. The doctor said he ain't got the measles, he's got a rash, and she'd cover him up, and that rash would go and come. That's how green we were.
You know, it was so funny. He would just get so red. And see, we had fire, it was in March, and he was turning land. And we knew this black man, we knew he drank heavy, and I didn't know where else to go. And I said, I've always heard my mom and him say, give him a few drops of whiskey. Well, he got to hiccuping and carrying on. I got scared. I thought, Lord, what in the world? And I'd wrap him up, you know, and he'd break out just as red, and then he'd cool off, and he'd go in, you know. Well, the next day, I took him to the doctor. Of course, we didn't have a car then. We didn't have any way to go, but anyway, the next day we took him to the doctor, and he said, he ain't got no measles, he's got a right.
Did you tell him you gave him whiskey?
Now, Brother Ed, she said a half pint, and you said a pint. Where'd that other half pint go?
And a half pint.
This black man, they run a hatchery in Pulaski. And he worked there, but he was a heavy drinker. And that's the only person I knew to go. And I said, go tell him to get you half a pint of whiskey. So that's what he done. And but I messed him.
All right, what year would this been?
He was about a year old.
Well,
He was born in 47,
1947.
March 26th of 47. So he was maybe a year, a little better than a year. I don't know where it was still in the March or the what. But anyway, Ed was turning land there on the hillside.
What about your furniture? Didn't you say you used a box with a table?
Oh, yeah.
Orange
No, we had an orange crate. The first house we had, what I was talking about a while ago, see, we didn't have no furniture. Mama gave me an old bed and mattress and springs. You know, you had those springs in. Metal springs is what you had.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the only piece of furniture we had when we got married. But see, I saved every penny I could while he was gone. Well, when he came home, he had to have a team of mules. He had to have a wagon. He had to have a turning plow. And he had to have a double shovel and a scratcher and a team of mules.
He had to have all that modern
And the
stuff.
harness to go on it. And the wagon. He had to have a wagon. Well, that took the majority of the money, of course, then. And then I went and I bought me the best stove I could find. You know, with a big warming thing on it with the hot water, you know, and all.
This is a wood cook stove.
Wood cook stove. Yeah, because it wasn't electric back
Right.
then, it's wood cook stove.
Right.
And I bought a little old enamel table with a couple of chairs and a little old steel cabinet. And that was our furniture for the kitchen.
But we didn't have a table to eat off of.
We bought that little old
We
table.
had an old apple box, and I went to the.
No, that was a dressing table. That old crate was a dressing table. We didn't have a dresser or nothing, you know.
I went.
And we made that and put a cloth around it. And we had two old straight chairs, wasn't it? We lived a year like that.
Had a bed, and the foot was out of it.
But we made it.
We didn't have nothing. We was pioneers.
And I tell you what happened while we was there that year. There was a few old-timey peach trees. You know, the old-timey peach trees didn't get that big. Wasn't for nothing, no count for nothing. And Dad had gave me a heifer calf when Ed first went to service after we married. And I brought the calf down to Ed's daddy, hired a man to bring him down there and put him in the parson. And when he come home, she was old enough that she brought forth a calf, you know. Well, I don't drink the milk hardly. So his brother was milking cows and selling milk, but we just had that one cow, and was pouring out the milk. And I said, you know, this is kind of foolish for us to pour out that milk. Why don't we just put it in a can? That milk truck stops you anyway, and it'll bring a few dollars, a couple of dollars a month at least. So we did. Well, the man I think that we rented from, well, we're not positive, but we think it was, he turned in that we was selling milk. And see, the government was paying, what, $100 a month?
$100 a month for 2 years to go to agriculture.
And that was all the money we had.
Went to agriculture school is what it was.
It's all the money we had for them. And they sent a man out there from the government. He stayed all day, didn't he? He questioned us. We had a few old chickens running around there where we'd hatched. He questioned us every way in the world. He even asked what would we sell out of the garden. We had a garden we shared. And potatoes, we raised that. And corn, he raised corn and had the hay. And he questioned us everywhere could be thought of. And they stopped your check for a while, didn't they?
He went a month before I got in, and that's when he showed up at the door.
Well, anyway, and we had the hardest time there was there, and they'd tell him just take it and go, you know. But he finally got back, and in that they said let him get back in it. But that, and then the next year, that's when we moved over to
He come back out, sir, and that's all we had, that $100 a month to live off of while to get going to school. Didn't have nothing else till we had to make that first crop to sell it, to pay our rent. And he just kept on and on and on, so I just finally told him he could just take it. What it was, though, he figured up, he said, well, I said, you can draw it back. If just go back over and re-sign up, says you can draw it. I said, you just take it. Do what you want to with it. I said, I just come out of the service, went over and fought in World War II, and they come back here, and they can't even, I won't take $100 a month off them, and I'm going to agriculture school to learn it. I said, you can just take it. And so, and then after that, we didn't have nothing. Didn't have nothing coming. Well, the milkman picked me up. This is Merle and I'm Ed, and he, all that time, he thought that I was Merle. and I sold it in Merle's name, and he kept calling me Merle. Merle, I said, man, I ain't Merle. I said, I'm Ed.
So is that the milk that
And you see, wasn't even in
use
my
for
name.
Jay? Is that you did?
No, we had to buy milk for Jay. Now, that was another thing. See, Jay, I didn't have any milk. I thought I had plenty of milk. Well, we went for several weeks, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he was, you know, he wasn't getting anything much. And I thought I had plenty of milk. Well, I went to the doctor with him, took him, and the doctor examined him. He said, well, ain't nothing wrong with that baby. He's hungry. He said, you got milk? I said, sure, I got milk. He said, you let me see. Well, and he said, you ain't got no milk.
So he was hungry.
He was hungry. Well, we had to put him on a bottle. And do you know that kid sucked that bottle till he's almost 5 years old? We'd take it away from him, and he'd look like he's going to die. And his word said, give that baby that bottle back. Well, he finally went out one day and broke it. And that was it. But, and now he don't even drink milk.
We take him to the field with us.
Yeah.
Since he's a baby, he ride her cotton sack. He wouldn't ride mine because I didn't move fast enough picking that cotton. And he'd pick up bugs and put him on the leg, had short breeches, and then the bug crawl up your leg. Then he'd catch him, put him back, let him crawl up your leg again.
He always wore short pants. But I
That's what you
fooled him
want.
a million
He
miles
hates
over the
the
cotton
farm,
patch.
All right, you want to tell us a little bit about getting started being a preacher?
Well, I run about 7 years. I felt like he called me, and I didn't want to be no preacher. And I got bad health. and then put me on oatmeal, lived off that for till about a couple of years, I guess. And got where I couldn't eat nothing. I know the Lord was after me and I was running. Merle said one time, said, why don't you just go ahead and surrender? Said, he's don't, Lord's gonna kill you. And I'd be down there in the field with the tractor. I got me a tractor, they had me a tractor, and she said I'd be preaching down there on a tractor, and she'd be home crying because she didn't want to be a preacher's wife. And I never did get into ease until I finally surrendered until here I am. Take me, use me, you know what I am. And so I went up and surrendered to the ministry. And it just a ease come over. I just felt so good. I didn't have feel no burden or nothing. And so the Lord had blessed me in it. And all this many years that I've been preaching, I never was out of a church. The fact that the church accepted Christ in, surrendered it in, you know, and I took 6 months leave out of 66 years now. I've been preaching. No,
No.
50
We'll be
years.
50 in March,
50,
next month.
50 years.
50.
I lost all my hair. I lost all within 1 week because of the stress and strain. And so I took a leave. As a year that I lost my hair, I preached 4 revivals, counting the revival in the church that I pastored, made 5. And I preached every Sunday, and I worked every day in the factory. And I thought, I guess I just overdone it. And so I took 6 months leave. And then that's when Will come up and asked me, would I come and be their pastor for them?
Now,
Yes.
what was your first church that you pastored?
First church was Thompson Chapel, where
Thompson Chapel.
where I grew up. I
Okay.
grew up in that church.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The preacher died
Yeah.
there. He was cleaning some kind of a thing, and he got in there and died. And they kept calling preachers. They called preachers and called preachers, and they wouldn't ever call one to be a pastor, you know. And they kept going and kept going, and so they said, well, we got a preacher here. What are you needing?
Go ahead.
And so went on then, and one of the deacons said, well, we got a man here that's preaching. He'd preach when they didn't have somebody to preach. And so they called Ed then, and he preached down there 2 years and 2 or 4 months. I forgot which it was now. And they had a man down there that attended church. Now the man's done died and gone on now. But he went to Mississippi and did some work, and he got off on some kind of a strange belief down there.
Mm-hmm.
And he come back with a lot of mess, and it just caused a commotion, so Ed resigned down there then. And that's when, after that he went to Union Hill. Stayed at Union Hill 10 or 12 years, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And he resigned there. And then Kelly's Creek called you, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And stayed, 10 years, and then went back 2 years more there or something.
2 years.
And then after that, you went back to Union Hill again, didn't you?
Went back to Union Hill.
No, you went back to Kelly's Creek again. They called you again.
Leonard Muller, song leader in the Bible teacher.
He died.
He died a week after I resigned from up there. He had a heart problem. He died with a heart attack. And James Shannon come and asked me would I stay long enough till they got settled, just get another man. And I told him I would. And I went back and I stayed 2.5 more years.
Then you
there
went
at
to
Kelly's
Union
Creek,
Hill.
then I left to Kelly's Creek and went back to Union Hill again. And pastored. Then from Union Hill back down to Wheelerton. Then Wheelerton.
That's when you lost your hair, when you went back to Union Hill.
Yeah.
Union Hill, where is it? Is it in
Right before you
Ardmore?
get in Ardmore, out
Before you
there
get
on the
in-
ridge there.
Then that's when we started. A group of people and everything. We started McBurg Church Baptist Church.
Well, we left Wheelerton.
Mm,
We all left Wheelerton that Sunday.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And well, that was, let me see, our first service was July the 6th. So we never missed a service,
No.
did we?
Mm-mm.
They'll miss the service.
So we left that Sunday from Wheelerton and then went to,
Oh, up here on the hill.
Young's Chapel.
We,
Young Chapel Church. Stayed there. Yeah.
when Ed,
married down there.
Yeah.
Okay.
when Ed walked out down there, when he brought a sermon, I don't guess they called it a sermon, but what he told them anyway. And then y'all all went out with us when
Yeah.
we went.
I never had joined that church.
No, you
I was
couldn't
just
join.
going there.
You was
but I
going.
was,
But you walked out too.
I walked out, but I was going to join,
Uh-huh.
but I knew there was things
Sure.
going on and I didn't.
And then you come here with Gene and them and all of you come over here to go
Yeah.
get that church, didn't you? Try to get Young's Chapel,
Young's
or
Chapel.
the other one over there.
And then Brother Jim Thorpe
And Brother Whit,
and no,
Brother Whit did
Lamar Hooper.
that.
We come up here on the hill with Hunter Place and up here Young's Chapel. And they said they would let us have it and if we just keep it cleaned up and free up there. We didn't, because they didn't have no service there. Once a year was all. And we stayed there a year, wasn't it?
Little better.
A little better than a year.
We left there August the 18th of 1991
Mhm.
was our last,
We started in July of '90.
yeah,
Mhm.
July the 6th of 90.
First Sunday in July.
Yeah,
Sure did.
We didn't know it then that the best thing there was the Lord seen in the head, because that church never would have been there if it hadn't this just to went into the building.
he had a plan, didn't
And even some of those members that later on
he? Yeah,
come up there,
the Lord had
they,
a
said,
plan.
they couldn't see it at that time. They said that the best thing that ever happened.
It was so weird too. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. But up there, the benches were so hard. Terrible. Miss Burrows fixed seats for all of the benches. And we made little makeshift Sunday school rooms. And
And Swedish church it was, because they had a swarm of honeybees inside.
yeah, you could smell that honey when you walked in.
Never got
Had
stoned
this
once.
smell to it. Nobody ever got stung.
Uh-uh.
Oh,
And it was hot, but you know it wasn't hot. It was always a breeze blowing in
Yeah,
the
it was.
windows. We didn't have no air conditioning, no
Right.
fans, you know. Well, we had some fans, but. And we had a prayer box. Don't y'all remember that prayer box? Well, we still got it that we put names in when we wanted prayer for people. And Brother Burrows would pull out a name every Sunday, right? Yeah. So it was good. It was
Four got saved up there. Oh, we
Um,
was there. Four got saved.
mhm.
How many of you started up there? How
It
many?
was 16 of us.
16.
Mhm.
Mhm.
16 of us.
And then
Now
when-
Peggy and what was that other girl's name?
was it Oneida Road?
Oneida.
We-
Oneida.
we-
Neither one of those was members at Wheelerton.
But they was
But
charged.
they were saved, but they wasn't members of there. But the
But-
rest of us was members down there.
They were charged a member here because they have started.
Yeah, they
Well, we
made them charge
joined
it.
up there at on Chapel Hill.
Yeah,
Well, I mean Young's Chapel. We joined up there,
yeah.
and so
Well, go ahead and name the founding members.
well, let me see. Well, Brother Burrows and Miss Burrows, of course, and Janice and Jim Thorpe, and Charlotte and Lamar Hooper, and Oneida Rose, Dorothy Flint, Whit McClure, Joanne Carpenter, Jean Mitchell, Tammy Carpenter, Amy Pitts, Don Gatling, and Peggy Garrett. Don Thorpe. Don Thorpe.
I thought, who is that?
Yeah.
And this, what year was this?
This was in 1990. We were all there at Young's Chapel. This was in 1990. And then 1991, let me see now. We bought, Janice?
Purchase the land then.
Yeah. We
And
bought
buy the trailer down and purchase it.
We bought the trailer in April the 25th of 91. The trustees borrowed money from the Lincoln County Bank to complete the purchase of the trailer.
All right, this is at 353 McBurg Delrose Road where the church now resides.
Yeah.
And the land was purchased from?
No, the trailer belonged to the Douthits.
Okay.
They owned all the land around, and they went bankrupt. That's when we bought our place. And they didn't sell the trailer for about 6 more months, maybe, or something. And we didn't think we were going to get it. That's another way the Lord intended us to have it, I believe. Some of the family was going to try to get it, and you know, they told us we had to wait a while before we even knew it. And I don't remember the place, the real estate agency now. It was in Pulaski that had it. And anyway, we finally got it, which was just his plan all along, I think.
We outgrew it. At one time we had about 100 people in that trailer.
Yes, we did.
And so we planned on to build another church, and we need so many acres in order to get the money to build a church. And that's when Janice and Jim,
They gave us the land.
y'all give us some of it.
Yeah, the land.
Wasn't much you give it to us, but yeah. You know, what, an acre or two or more down
2
there?
acres.
2 acres.
2 acres.
But
And then we didn't have to borrow the money because the Golden Mission come in and give us a $30,000 grant.
Yeah.
Other churches in Women Care Association started giving gifts, and money still coming in.
Local people did too.
Local people didn't even go to church nowhere give us donations on it, and we started building it.
you know, the
The Mitchell
land,
come by
though,
there when it first started. Me and my wife down there working. He's hunting a cow that's been missing. And he saw my pickup truck down there with the sideboards on it. And he said, "Well, I'm hunting a cow. Did y'all see a cow?" I said, "No." I said, "Well," I said, "I heard one bawling back over there all day,
Old Cross Creek.
over across the creek." And I know he thought that I got that cow because I had sideboards on my truck. And he wanted to know what we were doing. My wife told him, "You're looking at the future McBurg First Baptist Church." He laughed. He didn't believe he was able to come in to be a reality. He laughed about it, didn't he? He didn't laugh. But the Lord showed him that what he could do, and he put a church there in the community.
Amen.
He sure did. Without him, we could do nothing.
That's right.
He opened up the way on our pews and on everything.
Well, even the piano.
Even the
Yeah.
piano was given to him.
You found the piano swap shop, and it cost $800. And then just different ones just said $50, $50, and and it was all donated except for $166.
And we had that in the jar.
And we had that, yeah. We made a, and then the Petersburg First Baptist donated her chairs.
Mm-hmm.
And Danny and Lee Shoemate and Tony Chaplin and Eric Blankenship made and donated the pulpit and the communion table.
Mm-hmm.
They made that.
They made them. And let's see. November the 1st, 1991, a dedication service was held. In 1992, the first year in the new location, the Lord blessed us with 37 new members. A total of 25 were baptized, with 19 at one time on May the 19th of 1992 at the creek. And our first homecoming at McBurg First Baptist was held on August 23rd of 1992, with approximately 100 people attending. And that was when Billy McCauley put up the tent down there for us at the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just so many people in such a small place, but it was a lot of fun.
We had a revival right there one week in the tent.
We had the tent revival, yeah. Let me see.
On the side of the trailer.
We, you know, Richard Truson, he just trying to think of everything. He's the one that got the grants and everything.
Yeah.
And you know, we was gonna give the land. And he said, no, they had to appraise it, which somebody appraised it like $7,500 an acre. But anyway, they had to do this in order to get the grant. So, but Richard, I told his wife, I said, I believe he just lays awake and dreams up stuff. And she said, he does.
All right, you mentioned,
Richard and Loretta joined the church May the 17th of 1992. Well, they were baptized.
let's back up just a little bit on the church. I remember you talking about the pews and getting the pews. They come from,
Petersburg First Baptist.
okay.
Now
but,
that was the
bean
theater
pit.
seat.
yeah.
Now, that was the theater.
Yeah,
seat,
I
then
see
the
who's in the
trailer.
Now, Bar and I, they had kept telling us about these up there, and we was eating breakfast on Saturday morning, and I said, Bar, let's go to Petersburg and see what those seats look like. Well, we went up there to the church, and they were working in the church when we got up there, and they had a lot of these outside, and they done ruined because it rained on where they took part of them out. And they said, you can have them for $1 a piece if you move them out today. And we said, all right. So we started loading them. And he said, I tell you what, if you get them out today, we'll give them to you. Well, Bar and I put everyone we could get on that old truck. We still had that old bed on it.
I think Gene got her son to get a trailer up there too. Somebody did.
No, we went and Janice helped get us
Somebody.
Janice
text to
called.
get us.
Yeah.
I told Janice called you.
We rounded up help.
Tex
And-
called Larry Dean and got his trailer.
Yeah.
And then Trex went up there, and we went back. We unloaded what we brought back and went back to, and got the old truck full and his trailer full, and brought them down. And of course, we all had to unload them when we got them down, they know. So I went and put polyurethane on them, because some of them was in pretty bad shape, and I just washed them off and just put it on them. And we set them up. And Lamar didn't want to start church then. He said, no, let's wait till so-and-so. I said, shoot, we got the chairs. No, there ain't no need of waiting. We're going to have church. So we went on then and started having church. And, you know, people started coming in there. And Brenda was saved the first service we had. Remember?
I didn't remember.
Yeah, Brenda was saved the first service we had down there
Brenda
at the
This
church.
is the Brenda Mitchell.
In the trailer, she was saved that Sunday. And people began to come in, you know, and come in and come in. I never will forget Judy. If you knew Judy, Crandall's first wife, she was a kind of character. She could say some funny things. She come down there and she said, Well, I wanted to come down here and see what this church was like, and my husband said if it's all right, he might come, you know. And so she come and she joined, you know, and then Crandall did come in and join.
All right, let's mention your first deacons. Y'all mention them by names.
Let me see.
It was Richard Trulson, Jim Tharp. Am I correct?
Jim was already a deacon.
Okay.
Jim and Brother Whit was already
And Brother Whit McClure. Okay.
They was our 2 deacons.
Mhm.
And then it was Richard and
And that Danny Alley.
Dan was ordained.
Okay.
And then after that was Crandall and who was that?
Yeah, Crandall, somebody who was, you know.